Okay, it is 5:31. I'm going to call the March 8th Putney Select Board meeting to order. This is a reorganization tonight.
Right.
So the first order of business is election of officers. Is there a motion on the floor to elect chairperson?
So moved.
You need to say who you'd like to have as the chair, unless you're electing yourself.
Oh, okay, I gotta go back to Robert.
So is there anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to
interested?
nominate Eileen
Okay.
as the chair.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to elect Eileen Shute
Yes.
as the chairperson. And there's a second from our newest member, Nate Snell. All in favor? No. Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed? No. All right.
Okay.
So congratulations, Eileen.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Another fun year of chair. Okay, so our next act is to elect a vice chairperson. And I know that Peg was willing to be vice chair. If there's anybody else who'd like to take that position on, I'm sure she'd be fine with that. The vice chair will take over if I wasn't here, or if I have a conflict of interest. So that said, do I have a motion to elect a vice chair?
I move that Peg Alden be elected vice chair of the select board going forward in this current term.
But you've also expressed an interest?
Sure.
Does anybody want to nominate more than one person? We can do that, and then we can have a discussion.
Well, I guess I just put Peg up.
Yes, we can nominate more than one person.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so you've got one.
Right, well,
So I have a
How do we do
question,
this?
just for clarification, because Peg is not here, and if we have a second interested, should we be waiting?
I don't know that we can wait. Oh, we can wait, but then if we have a problem the next time,
Right,
say I get run over by a
yeah.
bus.
Yeah. Don't say that.
I got an email from Peg saying that she wasn't going to be here tonight.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But we also got an email from Peg, which I thought was in this packet, but it's not. Do you have the email?
I have my email. She said she was interested in being vice chair.
Right. She expressed interest in serving as vice chair.
Well, I mean, can I nominate more than one person?
Sure.
You have an interest
Sure.
in being vice chair?
Absolutely.
Okay. I move that Greg McGowan,
Eric.
Eric.
I move that Eric McGowan be vice chair of the select board for the current session.
Okay, so do I have a second?
That's all right.
Do I have a second on both of those nominations?
So they've both been nominated.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to nominate Eric McGowan or Peg Alden as vice chair. Shall we discuss this? I don't have an opinion either way. I felt that Peg seems a little bit more comfortable in front of a crowd, possibly easier to take over in case I get run over by a bus, or if there's another issue where I have to recuse myself. I don't want to deprive you of the opportunity.
No, either way, it doesn't matter. I just, she said if nobody wanted to do it.
Sure.
Either way.
Okay.
So.
So that's where I was. That's
Oh,
where I was
I
coming
think
from. That was my personal preference, but I don't have. I mean, I don't doubt that you can run a meeting.
Doesn't matter to me.
I think they're both highly qualified, and if either is elected, I think it'd be a fine choice for the board.
Okay.
I missed that last comment, Charlie, can you?
I think that if either is elected, that would be a good choice for the board.
All right, well, I'm going to, I guess we'll do a hands vote. So it'll be by majority. If it's a tie, I don't know what we'll do in that case.
Let's find out.
All right. So, all in favor of Eric McGowan as vice chair? All in favor of Peg Alvin as vice chair? Okay.
So it's a tie, so I don't know what you're gonna do.
All right. Why don't we table
I think you're gonna have
the
to wait.
chair position
Yeah.
discussion, which means we would also have to table the clerk decision.
That's right, because there's only 2 people that.
Unless there's another person who would like to be the clerk.
What are the duties of the clerk?
Sign the warrant. Well, if we don't have somebody taking minutes, you would have to take the minutes. But normally we have somebody taking minutes, so your sole responsibility is to sign the minutes.
Well, I think I can deal with that.
Okay.
So what do I have to do? Accept, I haven't been nominated, so.
Somebody has to make.
Somebody
I'll
has
make a
to-
motion to nominate Charlie as clerk.
Okay.
Second.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded to nominate Charlie as the clerk. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Is it open to the public, or when do you just?
I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't realize we had any public. Hi, Swift.
I don't want to block Eric from being co-chair, but this piece of I'm curious if he'd have there been moments where you've had to take notes, or is it ever minutes? Have you ever had to take minutes?
Well,
We're
we're
not on
talking.
that Swift.
Okay.
We're talking about clerk, and Eric was the clerk all last year. So
Right, I'm wondering if was it, my only curiosity was if it's a skilled position, if it's helpful to have the same person do it 2 years in a row. That was my only question.
it's really a matter of whether you can sign your signature in the correct place or not.
Okay. You haven't, taking minutes is not really part of the
No,
Okay, great.
no.
Thank you.
So, any other discussion online? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so welcome to the
2 out of 3.
position. 2 out of 3, we got it. All right.
Thank you all.
So, and I think the only other thing is if something comes up between the next time we have this discussion, the vice chair discussion, you would have to take over the meeting.
I would have to what?
Take over the meeting.
Right.
But
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
planning on getting run over by a bus, and we can always reorg again.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can brief me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Charlie, that's the other piece that wasn't mentioned. You do sign the minutes,
Right.
but if the chair and the vice chair are not here, then it would be the clerk running the meeting.
Well, I'm not gonna shrink from that. I'll do the best when I can.
It's fun.
But chances that will happen, might be no.
Yeah,
I say might.
that's good.
Okay. All right. So,
Moving on.
moving on to reviewing and commenting on the policies and procedures. This is something that we do every year when we reorg. The first is the rules of procedure policy, and the very first thing that we would like to do is set a time and place for our regular select board meetings. Normally we meet every other Wednesday at 5:30 at the town hall. Does that work for everybody still? That works for you?
It does, yeah.
So can I jump in quickly? Because Peg's not here.
Yeah.
And she's about process, and she's really good about reading these documents and questioning certain things. There are sections in here that the board actually has to make decisions, okay?
Yep.
So this is in your packet, mostly as a preview, It's still a draft right now. And because Nate, it's his first night here, and like, he just barely got this information, so he hasn't even had a chance to read it.
Right.
So my recommendation is, if you want to have discussion about it tonight, that's fine, but I would recommend that you vote on it on the 22nd of
So
March.
not talk about, not even decide, regular meetings?
Well, regular meetings are fine, but there's other things in this document that you will have to, you know, like motions made by members of the body do or do not require a second,
Okay.
right? A member may speak or make a motion only after or without being recognized by the chair. Motions to close or limit debate will or will not be entertained. So those are questions this board should, you know, talk about and agree upon. So you have consistent rules of procedure.
Well, we had been given by you, at least Peg and I, when we came on in May, copies of this document.
Right. And
Are these changes that are different from what we read?
Essentially, what's happened here is Karen's basically gone back to the template.
yes.
And because prior to this, like number 5, those motions made by the members of the body do require a second. And I believe we had make a motion only after being recognized, and motions to close or limit debate, I think will not be entertained.
Right.
Things like that. So basically, this is a model template from the LCT that
Correct.
has different options in it that we can change all of it if we want to, but those are the ones that they recommend that we discuss.
The other thing too is I could have copied last year's template, but I want to give the board the opportunity to have a discussion about it. So, like on page 2, agendas, the first item, right? So, those who wish to be added to the meeting agenda shall contact the chair or the municipal manager. So normally people come to me. I don't know if you want to change that, Eileen. It's, you know, that's up for discussion. I'm not going to answer these questions for the board.
Okay.
So it's an opportunity for the board to be cohesive, and you have 5 people. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So
Well, Karen, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
In your tenure as town manager, have these rules of policies and procedures ever changed?
Not for the select board,
Okay.
per se. You know, the importance of this document is basically to set a date, time, place for meetings,
Right.
basically. And like boards and committees should be adopting this policy as well.
Are they required to?
They are, yes.
Okay. So what's the feeling of the board? Do you want time to read this and we can revisit it next week, or do you want to quickly go through it and make a decision on these?
If it matters, I actually did have an hour to look at this between work and now, so I actually read through this already.
Okay. Do you want to try to?
Seems pretty simple to know. They're not big
All right.
changes.
So if it's okay, we'll just go through the ones that are do not. Is that fair? All right. What are people's feelings about motions made by members of the body do or do not require a second?
In the
What
past.
section are you referring to?
Number 5, I'm sorry.
The 5 chart.
So in the past, you do.
Yeah, so we have in the past said yes. I like that because it gives us a chance to get more than just one person's motion, opinion that motion is important. For the record, Brattleboro Select Board does not use that. They just put motions on the table. They do not require a second. Does anybody have a strong feeling?
I think we should go with it.
Go with a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too.
All right. Number 6 is there's no limit to the number of members and times a member of the body may speak. That would be us. A member may speak or make a motion only after or without being recognized by the chair. And then motions to close or limit debate will or will not be entertained. I think it makes for a better meeting if the chair is sort of moderating the meeting.
Yeah.
Less chaos.
So I'm in favor of doing it that way. It can have the ability of limiting true debate. I can see it either way. I don't normally exercise that too much unless there's like a lot of, chaotic conversation going on. So it's up to you guys if you want to.
I think to keep things organized, it would be good to be recognized.
Okay. So we'll say only after.
Yeah.
All right. And then motions to close or limit debate will not be entertained. I do not like motions to close or limit debate. I think they're anti-democratic. And I've seen it used for in the school board way too many times. So.
You mean to cut people off?
Yeah, to basically say I call the question.
Yeah.
I think that's, I don't, it's legal, it's a way to make it so it's not a 4-hour meeting, but I don't like it myself.
I agree with you.
Okay?
Yep.
Yes? All right.
So
we'll
what,
say will not.
will not?
9, these rules may be amended by unanimous 2/3 or majority vote of the body and must be readopted annually. So we're readopting them annually right now.
Right.
So I think this means during the year, unanimous 2/3 majority, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2/3 would be 4 of us?
No.
Yeah, because, 60% is 3 or 5, 2/3 is 66.
So that would be 3.5 of us?
Right.
So why don't we go with the
And the
majority?
fellow in the back of the room.
Majority.
I think a majority would
Yeah.
probably make sense, right? Okay, agendas. This is those who wish to be added to the meeting agenda shall contact the chair or the municipal manager. I don't personally care either way, but I do like to know
Right.
what's going to be on. So, which I know eventually anyway. I think for continuity's sake, it's probably better that it goes to the town manager. So that if there's a change in chair, then people aren't constantly trying to figure out who they're supposed to contact.
Right.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's
All right.
good.
So number 2 is basically where we post,
Oh, I missed that one.
which is town hall, the library, the post office, and on our website.
Okay.
We've always done it that way.
Okay, it doesn't say
It doesn't
our
say
website.
website.
It probably should.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does right here.
Where?
Should be posted on our web. Or is that just the spot?
Oh, I see. They just.
Really?
Oh, I
the
see, I
web
didn't read that.
address,
I thought it just meant special
okay.
meetings. Okay, no, that's fine. Those are fine for me,
Same here.
Yeah.
okay? And then the next one is 3, what is this trying to say? Okay, so basically this is saying all business that we have must be on the notice of the warrant agenda, except that we can make adjustments to the agenda as a first act of business.
Right.
That's by law. And then any other adjustments to the notice agenda changing the order of business, postponing or tabling may be made by unanimous 2/3 or majority vote of the body. I think we've done that pretty informally in the past, but we can make it more formal and make it a majority.
I agree with that. It's on the agenda anyway. It's not on this particular one, but
Okay. All right, regular meetings shall take place, this says bi-weekly, but it's every other Wednesday, right?
oh, yeah.
Because otherwise,
So
there are
it
weeks-
should be just on Wednesday, right?
every other Wednesday. Every other Wednesday.
Every other. You must-
Well, right, bi-weekly,
You can't do bi-weekly because it
there was
messes it
something
up.
up, yeah,
Mr. Fairman pointed that out. So it has to be every other Wednesday,
okay.
period. You don't even have to put of the month because every other Wednesday.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we still like town hall as our meeting space, right?
Correct?
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Madam, I have a question.
One second, I want to go through this whole thing and then we can take public comment.
I just want to know the date of the draft you're working off of.
What?
What?
The draft.
What's the date of the draft you're working off of?
It's a template from VLCT, and I think it was first published in 2016.
Right.
Oh, because there's a one that the select board from March 24th, 2021 that has some of these changes already in it.
Yep, we're going through it again.
What's that?
Okay.
Okay,
You're going back to the template. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
okay. What is that? Hold on, there's a beeping noise.
Go ahead, keep going.
All right, special meetings shall be publicly announced at least 24 hours in advance, that's by law. In addition, notices shall be posted in designated places in the municipality, and these are the same as they would be for the 24-hour special meeting or 48 hours, right? So it kind of says that twice, but they're essentially the same.
You know,
Right.
maybe it'd be useful to have them in the same order as in agendas, paragraph 2.
Did you catch that, Karen?
What was that? You're on
We're on
meetings,
meetings,
number 2.
number 2, and number 2 in the agendas, it's kind of redundant, but the ones that are in agendas number 2 and agendas, meetings number 2 are in opposite order. Or they're not in the same order. So this one says Town Hall, Putney Public Library, and the Putney Post Office, and this says Library first, Post Office, and Town Hall.
All right, I'll make it
Okay,
consistent.
thank you.
I think that's an easy fix.
All right, everything else on that page is normal, right? Public participation, number 2. At the beginning and of or conclusion of discussion of each agenda item, but before any action is taken by the public body, there may be a certain number of minutes afforded for open public comment. So normally, or in the past, we've done at the conclusion of the discussion, and then it's been 10 minutes afforded for open public comment. I like it being at the conclusion because then we all get to have a discussion before we open it up to the public. But I'm open to,
I think that's worked well.
I think that works.
yeah, okay. And then, again, we can all change that if we want to. We've been going with majority, so should we go with majority vote?
Yes.
Okay. The rest of this does not have any optionals.
Clarification.
Yes,
So back to number 2.
yes.
So there may be,
Oh,
how
10
many
I
minutes?
skipped over that.
That's okay.
How many minutes do we want to afford the public, keeping in mind that it don't normally time people?
10 makes sense to me.
Okay.
In other words, we leave it open-ended.
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it's hard to do that. it may become, if we keep going to the 3.5 hour mark, it may
Right.
become necessary to cut people off.
Yeah,
The other thing that I'm not quite clear on this is whether this is 10 minutes per person or 10 minutes total.
Total, right.
So we have had discussions that are obviously more than 10 minutes of public comment. So,
it says maybe,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think we're cool with that.
okay, so we still like 10?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I think that, Karen, if you're okay with this, we have gone through this document and everybody's agreed on,
I can make the
All of
changes
these.
and then have it ready for the next meeting for
okay,
signatures.
so we won't vote on that, but we will assume that our time and place will be 2
Yes.
Wednesdays from now.
Yeah,
I
great,
mean, the next, yeah, whatever.
right.
We know what it is.
It's March 20th.
March 22nd,
Yeah.
okay? All right, the next piece is the conflict of interest and, oh, I'm sorry. Is there public comment online? Swift?
Yeah, thank you. I'm confused on why you folks went back to the template instead of looking at the edits that were done most recently by the select board in March 21. Why? Because it seemed like there's some edits on there that you guys you're doing again, and we're going through this so quickly. I'm wondering if there's other things on here that are on the one from last year, 2 years ago at this time, I think, that might also be helpful to add in. One thing I'm seeing that's not in here that was in here in 21 was emergency meetings, which can be held with no warning. It says provided some notice thereof to the public as soon as possible before any such meeting.
Emergency meetings are here. They're under meetings under number 3.
I don't have that one in front of me. I didn't hear you discuss it. I just heard special meetings.
You go ahead.
So I'm curious if there's just little edits that are getting missed that were done back in 21.
No, Swift.
Okay.
No, it's a good question. In the past, I've just copied the old template from the previous year and giving the board, the opportunity to decide instead of having a generic, already in place template isn't fair to the select board, especially with a new board. So
just starting from scratch. Thank you.
and the other thing too is I will look at the last year's and just compare it to this. And if there is anything that was altered or added, I will put it in the draft, but I doubt. I know this particular one, I didn't change anything.
Thanks so much for digging it up.
You're
Okay, is there any
welcome.
other comment online? All right. So, moving on to the conflict of interest and ethical conduct policy for town officials. Nate, have you had a chance to read through this?
Oh, this one I didn't have as much time to go over, but I did scan it.
This one is an important one.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's much that we would change in this. Every town needs to adopt a conflict of interest and ethical conduct policy. This is again a template from VLCT. It essentially lays out what a conflict of interest is and how to deal with it. The essential piece to this is that all of us will, at one time or another, have a conflict of interest. To give you an example, my neighbor might do something with his property that we would have to deal with. And then I would need to recuse myself because he's my neighbor. And then we would have, so in recusal is removing yourself from the discussion entirely and abstaining from the vote. The main piece of this is to disclose your conflict of interest. There may be times where you have an association where you don't feel like it is a conflict of interest, but you want the public to know about it, and the body. The body can also ask you if you have a conflict of interest. And we can discuss it then. There are procedures, there are enforcement procedures in Article 2. And there's differences between elected officers and appointed officers. So enforcement against appointment officers, we have the authority to remove someone if we feel that they are violating the conflict of interest policy. We do not have the authority to remove a select board member. We can ask them to resign, but we can't remove an elected official. So those are kind of a high level explanation of this, but you should definitely read it. Karen, do we have to adopt it tonight? Or
No.
can we
No.
give everyone a time to look at it? It's something that we should all refresh ourselves
Right.
with anyway, because it is very important. So we'll table the adoption of that as well. Does that sound fair?
Yes. Can I make a comment too?
Yes.
So the previous board struggled with this for a little bit last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you changed the title.
Right.
Do you remember that whole conversation? Which now includes boards, committees, appointed and elected officials.
Yep.
So in the past, every board, commission, and the select board should adopt conflict of interest. But what the select board has done with just the title, now this is across the board for all boards and committees.
Yep.
So, which makes it easier. And they all need to, they will get a copy of this once it's signed, and they will have to abide and be compliant with that policy.
Right. Yes, we did do that last year.
Yes.
So, is there other discussion on the board? Your comment online on the conflict of interest policy? All right, so everybody's going to read that, and we'll come back next week to hopefully adopt it. Our next piece is to select our official newspaper of record and alternate newspaper of record. This is again something we do every year during reorg. Currently, we have the Commons as our primary, right?
That is correct.
And the Brattleboro Reformer as our secondary. And we use this for what, Karen?
We use it for advertising legal notices for Development Review Board meetings and for any public informational meetings. So it does cost the town a little bit of money, but the Commons is less expensive than the Brattleboro Reformer. And the scheduling works for me. So basically, as a zoning administrator, I'm doing most of the legal notices. So I'm comfortable with the Commons. They're very accommodating.
Okay. Is there discussion on the board on this?
Well, since Karen is comfortable with this arrangement, I think we ought to stick with it.
Yeah.
All right. I do have comment online. Cell Div V, is that Vanessa?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Hi. It's Vanessa, and sorry, I'm on a phone and had trouble trying to figure out how to raise my hand. On the conflict of interest, I would just suggest to the select board that there's a consistency as you create or give directive to new committees for municipal groups, so that it's clear. On some of them, it says it's the clerk's job to guide and inform members through conflict of interest and open meeting law, or maybe it says just open meeting law, or but just that there's some clarity and consistency across all the various committees and task forces and all that. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
So the task forces, we don't have any control over?
I think we're referring to some of the language in some resolutions we've had in the past.
Correct.
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Hello?
Are you asking me?
Did you say something? I thought you had another comment.
I couldn't tell if you were asking me a question.
No, I was just asking if you had another comment.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to get my hand.
Oh, okay. We might be able to do that for you.
Right,
There we go.
Okay.
there it is.
All right. Okay. Is there any other discussion among the board about the official newspaper of record?
We stick with it.
Yeah?
So can you make a motion?
So we need a
Make a
motion.
motion to keep the official newspaper records for the Commons and Brattleboro Reformer.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to select our official newspaper of record and alternate newspaper of record, that being the Commons as the official newspaper of record and the Brattleboro Reformer as the alternate. Is there any other further discussion? Any more comments online? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So the next piece is to select the official attorney of record and the alternate attorney of record. Karen, are we still happy with Salmon and Nostrand?
Yeah, I contacted their office today, and Larry's not going anywhere, so
Okay.
he would be pleased to continue.
Okay.
We have them on retainer. In other words,
Yeah, you can call it that. He charges us $420 a month for service.
yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, in other words.
Yeah, so if anything happens, I would go to our primary. And if there's a conflict of interest, then we would have to use the alternate attorney.
The Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that does happen on occasion because in addition to Putney, both of these offices are the town attorneys for other nearby towns, so.
so I have never gone out to bid for another attorney. I'm not aware of any towns doing that except Vernon. I'm comfortable with Larry and his work. He has very strong ability for zoning and land development, which is, a big, well, it's not a big part of Putney right now because I haven't seen many zoning applications, but, and if he's very honest too, if it's not his specialty area, then I can look to VLCT or, Bob Fisher too as a backup.
How many years has Salmon and Nostrand been our counsel?
I think they've been here for a long time.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know. I can't answer that question, but I can probably,
No, that's okay.
They're familiar with the town.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I'm
Yeah.
interested in.
Yeah.
and I mean, he's, I wouldn't say quick, but he does respond. And if I have an immediate issue,
Except on Fridays.
he's pretty, quick, so.
He does all his court work on Fridays, that's why I said that.
Right.
So, is everybody good with that? We'll need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to accept, or to, the official attorney on record is Salmon and Nostrand, then Fisher and Fisher.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the official attorney of record as Salmon and Nostrand, who's Larry Slason, and the alternate attorney of record, Fisher and Fisher Law Offices, which is Robert M. Fisher. Is there further discussion among the board? Are there any comments online about the attorneys of record? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
Madam Chair.
yes,
Madam Chair.
Madam Manager.
You missed one item on the agenda, which is the chart of incompatible offices. Under conflict of interest and ethical conduct.
Oops.
It's okay, I just want to bring that to your attention.
You got these funky arrows in there. I'm
Do you
used
not
to
like
that.
those? Do you want me to put
I guess
something
they're
else?
not.
I'm gonna put smiley faces
Okay.
and then like sad faces on things that will
All right.
take 3 hours.
So this is backing up to, backing up to the statutorily incompatible offices. This is really more of a point of information.
It is.
But you'll see it in your package, you'll see that there's a chart of incompatible offices. And for example, you can't be a select board member and a lister. You can't be a, let's see, you can't be, what's another one?
So the town clerk cannot be like a cemetery commissioner.
Or a select board.
Right.
I think they can be cemetery, because,
No, the town clerk can't. So it has something to do with elected offices versus, like money, money offices. Yeah.
well, I mean, so as far as, say, a lister and a select person is concerned, the reason why you couldn't have those two as being, you couldn't have a select board person also being a lister is because the select board sits on the BCA.
Right.
And the
Right.
listers,
Yeah.
the BCA hears grievances, so it would be a conflict of interest to have a lister hearing their own arguments, basically,
Right.
deciding their own arguments. So that's why that's there. There's other reasons. It's not anything that we need to worry about unless
No.
you wanted to go out for another position. Say if you wanted to, become the town manager, you might not be able to be something else. So this is just a point of interest for everyone. Is there discussion among the board on that? Or questions? Any comments online? All right, moving back down to the approval of minutes of February 22, 2023. Now, Nate, you were not there because you weren't elected yet, so you'll abstain from the vote. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 22, 2023?
I move to accept the minutes of February 22, 2023 meeting as set forth in the document that's been provided to the select board for purposes of this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 22, 2023. Does anybody see anything glaring? I haven't seen anything in here. Anything?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention, right? Okay.
Right.
So, coming up to public comments on items not on the agenda. Does anybody on the select board have any public comments on items not on the agenda? I'd like to take this moment to say congratulations to Nate Snell for being elected to the select board, the 2-year position. And also to Peg Alden, who's not here this evening, but was elected to Josh's old seat, the 3-year position. So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Public comment online, Elena, you just had your hand up? Elena?
I am congratulating Nate and Peg.
Okay.
That was a reaction, not a hand.
Oh, I see. All right, is there any other public comment online on items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the warrants to the treasurer. Can I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the warrant, or execute the warrant to the treasurer upon completion of review.
Is there a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved. So you're not gonna have warrants. It's been approved and it's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants upon completion of review. Karen, you're up.
So they look like this.
Yeah, they're at the end of this document,
There you
and this
go.
is something that we do bi-weekly, well, every regularly scheduled meeting, for the purposes of payroll and,
Accounts payable.
accounts payable, thank you.
So invoices, basically. But
So this is your opportunity to ask questions about things that you might not understand why we're spending that money on.
All right, so payroll warrant dated March 10th, 2023 in the amount of $27,918.71. So there was approximately 29 hours of overtime for the highway department
Wow.
because of all the storms.
Back to back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So also Nate, this is a 2-week period, so.
Okay.
The other thing too is in here, we have select board stipends.
Yay!
So, before you leave,
Yeah.
well, so normally what happens, once you approve the warrants, then the treasurer will sign the checks. So, but I can probably get Cass to sign 3 checks tonight, and you can take them with you, but they're not good until Friday.
Good to know. All right.
Thank you, Cass.
I'll put it in my top drawer, wait till Friday.
Yes, yeah. Just don't hold on to it, because if we have to chase you to cash it, then it's gonna be a problem.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So those are the only, 2 things that I want to say about payroll. That's why it's so high though.
Got a question.
Sure.
$17,031 to Cargill Incorporated. What's that?
Wait a minute, I
It's a good idea.
haven't announced it yet. All right, so
okay.
let me do my piece, Charlie. Bring on my parade. So accounts payable dated February 25th through March 10th, 2023. Oh, it's a big number. $1,203,031.59. So in this warrant, there's 50 checks issued. We are paying the 3rd payment to the school district, which is $1,116,304.71.
Okay.
So huge, right?
Yep.
So if I take that out, it's approximately like $80,000, I believe. For general fund and highway.
Okay.
So the Cargill, $17,031 is approximately 3 deliveries of salt.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that for the whole year?
I think we might have paid another one, Eric, but, so what happened was, there's this talk about a trucking problem.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and so we got 3 deliveries and they were kind of like back to back,
Okay.
so, but
So we got it all at once?
pretty much,
Okay.
yeah. Brian
So
was a
did we
little
get it
nervous. He was a little nervous that we weren't gonna be able to get it,
Oh, well, at least we got it then. Okay.
but we have it, so I think we're in good shape with that. Let me see, what else?
Cleveland Electric.
Cleveland Electric is, they did work at the library.
I was just wondering where.
So the library obtained a grant to change out all their fixtures to LED.
Okay.
So that's the light bulbs and the actual fixtures. So I don't know the amount of the grant, but I'll know once once she gives it to me, but.
Nystrom service, and that's,
That is work on the backhoe. So hang on a minute, I got it in here, I read it, but you know me with like stuff like this. There was something about the brakes, they took the brakes out, I think they took the, I think it was the actual axle and all of it. And they cleaned it up, and then most of the work was labor. Nystrom service and repair, drained rear axle housing, oil removed, rear axle housings cleaned out, all old oil and brake residue, replaced brake disc plates, brake piston seals, and all the O-rings. Put axle housings back on, filled with new oil, bled the brakes, test ran, brakes were working well. So.
All the individual names in here, I'm assuming that was from the election workers?
Yeah, there's 10 election workers that were paid.
Just out of curiosity, how come that doesn't come out of payroll?
Because they're not town employees.
It's just a straight
Yep,
payment?
they get a 1099, but
I gotcha, okay.
they don't actually make over 600 bucks, so. It's always been done that way,
That's,
so, and it's just a handful of people. It's not always the same people either.
right,
So, different for the select board because you're elected officials.
yeah.
So, like the listers get paid through the payroll,
Yeah.
elected officials.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't had any complaints with people getting paid like that either, so.
And then, what's the other one? Oh, I have to question this one just because I like the name, Jack of All Blades.
That is for the highway department, so they do get blades from them.
Okay,
It's, yeah. So,
for plowing or for mowing?
no, it's
grader
for,
blades and snow.
Oh, great, oh,
yeah,
great,
yeah, yeah,
Cutting edges, you call them, I guess.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Is the,
Actually, I can tell you because I've got the bill right here. If I can find it quickly.
is the Southeast School District, Wyndham County, statutorily required?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So we have 20 days after each tax collection date to pay the school. So,
So that would be the last payment then, because we just had our last tax payment.
it is the last payment, and we don't have the final
Okay.
number, and this is the problem with the state. So I work off a preliminary number based off the school district's budget, okay? And then probably, well, it should be soon, I would see the final, because they shuffle numbers around. But I'm hoping if we overpaid, we'll get a refund. But of course, if we underpaid, then I'll have to pay more money. We will have to pay more money, but that hasn't ever been the case since I've been here, so knock on wood.
Okay.
So, let's see if so is there any other questions? I can't find the jacket.
That's okay, I was just curious.
Hold on,
Um,
hold on. It should be right here. Here it is. You got me, because it just says galvanized post, galvanized anchor. Oh, so there's 25 galvanized posts. So, I don't know, I can't
It's
tell
all-
you what it is.
It's all good. It's just,
And then 25
It's a great name.
acres. So would that be like, I'm thinking they're signposts, but
It could be.
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, 2 inch by 10 feet.
Yep. that would make
So they gotta be
sense.
signposts.
okay. All right, are there other discussion, is there any other questions on the warrant? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you have warrants.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the town manager's report.
Oh, let me find it. Just cobbled me. You're gonna have to keep me in line. All right, from the town clerk's office, the results of the voting. I gave you those numbers. I also asked John Johnson to pull together previous years, because this is our first in-person, like in 2 years. But I
Yes.
want to point out, for Australian ballot votes, the number was so much higher.
When we had, yes, that was very interesting.
It's something to look at
It's
as
a-
a trend.
It's a little unfortunate that we can't both have in-person and high turnout.
Right, right. But you can see the difference, so, last night there's 319 votes, right? And 42 absentee, but look at the big difference in 22 and 21 when
Yeah.
it was Australian ballot.
And 2020 was a presidential
Yes.
election year, so that's gonna be statistically higher
Yeah.
anyway. But do we know approximately how many people we had at town meeting?
No.
Okay.
That's the thing, John, and they're gonna work on that, town
Yeah.
clerk. He did say, I can't give you a number because it's not clear, how do
They
you?
check people in though.
Right.
We we wouldn't know like how many people were voting, say at Article 4 or 5 or 6, but we would know how many people actually came and got checked in. For
Did they say a
the,
number before we left? I thought they said,
did they?
they said there was a number. How many
missed that.
people? I
Okay.
didn't
All right.
catch the exact number.
Around 150, like 100 and a half.
Really?
That's what
Okay.
I remember.
Okay.
So anyway, they're gonna start tracking that to find a better way to do it.
I think, yeah, and I think this is good for us. This is good for us to know. I mean, I do feel strongly that people need to have an opportunity to do what they did at town meeting, which is to amend articles.
Right.
But it does represent a tiny fraction of the town when it comes down to it. So maybe someday we'll find a happy medium there.
Yeah, so the second page is basically the results. So moderator Meg Mott, 296. Select board 3-year Peg Alden,
I was wondering
290.
what the purpose is.
Select board 2-year Nate Snell at 233. Doug Harlow was elected for 2-year Lister at 289 votes, and there's no one for cemetery commissioner,
So we got 30 write-ins, but they weren't for the same people?
I don't know what that means. So at this point, because we don't have that third cemetery commissioner, if somebody comes forward, the select board actually can appoint them.
Yeah.
And that might be the case, so we may just need somebody. We should probably put it out there.
Yeah.
I
It
think
doesn't have
that's-
a year, how many years is that term for? Do we know?
I don't know, can't answer that question either, but I will find out. So in today's Brattleboro Reformer, there was a misquote regarding Article 7, and I want to clear that up for the record. So there was an amendment to Article 7 with regards to purchasing a pickup truck. And the actual language that did not get put into the paper was to pursue the option of an alternatively fueled vehicle.
Right, not to actually purchase.
Not to actually purchase an electric vehicle for the road foreman. I'm like going, Brian's gonna be like, what were you doing? And I'm gonna be like, I had to leave him a message and say, don't worry
Don't
about
believe
that. Don't
everything
be
you read."
blindsided. You're not getting an electric vehicle at the moment. So I also wanted to mention comments from like Lionel Shute regarding the infrastructure relative to energy is something, he had stated the town's not ready for that. And, I have to agree with that statement because basically we can't be thinking of energy alternatives if we don't have infrastructure. And that is exactly what he said. He pointed that out. We don't have it to support it. So we have to be proactive and not reactive. So, and I'm not going to go into this because we were there all day yesterday, but this loops back to Article 7, right? If we're going to go down this road with alternative energy, then we need to be proactive and be looking like at a new town garage. And our energy
With effective chargers and
it has to be, there's no way. So let's just say we got an electric pickup right now. What are you gonna tell Brian? Go down to the parking ride and charge it at night. That ain't happening.
Well, those are level 1 chargers, so
Right.
it won't happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say on record that I have an electric car, and we fortunately have a charger that we got for free through through Green Mountain Power to charge at night. But if there's any time when we need to charge fast, closest charger that we can use is in Brattleboro.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure definitely is not here in town. That is not to say that we shouldn't do that.
Right.
Because there's no reason not to.
Right.
And I think it would also bring a lot of people, because we're right off the highway, I think if we did do that, we would bring a lot of people off the highway to go to the co-op or go to the diner or go, to visit the downtown. So
Right.
I think it might be a vital part of revitalizing the downtown. But the infrastructure is not there right now.
No. Again, we have no active energy committee at this time, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of funding out there coming down.
Yeah.
And
Including for car chargers for rural areas.
the other thing too, we need to re-engage an energy committee and looking at long-term capital improvements like a new town garage or buying, electric equipment or whatever. This is something that the energy committee can take on, do the research. The comment about we should be looking at prices for alternative vehicles. This is something, the energy committee can do, and then we can be prepared. So that's just my
So
comment.
that's a shout out to the community if you're interested in alternative fueled vehicles or alternative energy in general. There are several seats on the energy committee. It's pretty much inactive right now due to the fact that it doesn't, I think it has one member right now.
We don't have that number. I actually received a
No, we
resignation.
still have one.
Okay, yeah.
We still have one.
Right.
But regardless, that committee is absolutely vital, and it would be great if people who are actively involved in the other, the VCRD task force, if there's, if that's one of your interests, to contact Karen to get onto that committee. I think we need at least 2 other members to get it going again, and ideally would have 5. So that's
7 would be good.
7 would be even better.
If we can get 5, that would be great.
Yeah.
So, We also need a Wyndham Regional Commission town representative. We've only had one. We haven't heard from that person for over a year. Wyndham Regional they support municipalities with development projects, and they can lead us to grant funding too. So it is vital at this time, because there's so much going on, that we fill this position as well. We can work on that. I'm working with Wyndham Regional. It's through my office, but it's only because I know what's out there right now. And I don't want to lose an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's see, the rec league too, when I stated funding for the recreation board would be in the budget. So that's not accurate. What would happen with a recreation board is it would be an appropriation, like when we appropriate money to the library. It's still taxpayers' money, but it would be an actual appropriation. And that may change down the road as we talk this through to see what it looks like. So I just want to put on record that that's a correction. Social agency appropriation policy, priority number 1 for the select board.
Yep.
I will be working with you to get that done before the next town meeting.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So March 22nd, I just want you to be prepared to reappoint committees and boards. And then you also need to think about the Energy Committee. The Housing Committee requires a new charge.
Yeah, and the Energy Committee might deal with a new charge too.
Yes.
I think it was last written in the 70s actually.
Yeah.
For real.
And then the ARPA Committee, that's questionable at this point, but until the chair comes to the board. And Peg's not here either.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear from Peg. The one last item I want to mention is I want to recognize International Women's Day is today. And it is, so therefore International Women's Day sees a number of exciting and important missions aimed at raising greater awareness about issues impacting women's equality, taking a stance to call out inequality while working to forge positive action, highlighting and applauding where important gains are being made, celebrating women's achievements and accomplishments. International Women's Day today. How's that, Swift?
Swift, you have your hand, oh, you're clapping. You're clapping, okay.
That's all I have.
I can see it's like subtly waving as opposed to just staying, and now we've got, Elena's got a finger, a thumbs up, okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting the reactions now, got it. All
I
right,
had to put that plug in.
One comment I'd just like to make on this, there's a radio station in New York City, WQXR, that's a classical music station. And they've been on the air forever. And today, to commemorate International Women's Day, all they played was music written by women composers.
nice. All right,
Yeah. Here and right here.
right.
All right, moving on. Thank
Are
you.
you,
I'm
you're done?
good, I'm
Yeah,
done.
your comments
That was
or
my
discussion
last-
about the
yeah.
board on the town manager's report? Is there discussion or questions online about the town manager's report? All right, hearing none, let's go to boards, committees, and commissions. Equity and Inclusion Committee appointments. Swift, well, whoops, I have it.
So I gave you,
So we have, Swift, do you want to make a comment on this?
Sure, I can introduce it. So we have 2 letters of interest. One person that's been waiting for a few months, and we had our missed meetings on getting to know them a bit, and we did that at our last meeting in January. And our February meeting was canceled, so Christina Shin has been waiting a while to join us, and I'm excited and hopeful that you'll appoint her. And Eleni, and I might have to ask me how to pronounce Eleni's last name because I don't know how to. Just recently has been interested in the past month, and actually it was when the VCRD process started, so back in November, and she more recently got her letter in. So we have these two new members on the docket. We had a meeting in our January meeting. We had a discussion with both of them, got to know them a bit, and did approved them going forward. I don't know, because the policy is so
Right. We don't have
wishy-washy right now.
Right.
We had a vote that said we would like the select board to. Good for you.
Okay. So.
I can find a specific language if you'd like.
No, so, okay, so in essence, the Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee is recommending these two people. Okay, great. So Christina, so since we don't have a letter from you, would you like to let us know why?
I have a letter from Christina.
Well, I didn't get it.
We don't have it, so if you have it in front of you, you can read it, or you can just tell us why you'd like to be on the Equity and Inclusion Committee.
I can just say why I want to be on the committee. I just really want to get more involved in the local community in Putney, and it sounds like it's a good cause that aligns with my values, and I feel like I like to think that I have a valuable perspective to offer as someone at Landmark who has autism and ADHD.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Christina? What is that?
It's the alarm.
Oh,
I got trouble.
somebody's trying to break in. Sorry, we have an alarm system malfunctioning in the back room. So do any of the board members have any questions for Christina? Okay, and then I'll read this letter from, is it Eleni?
Eleni Maxakuli.
Okay, thank you. So it says, to whom it may concern, my name is Eleni Maxakuli, and as most of you know me, the owner of Putney Diner. I am writing to you today to humbly request acceptance into the Equity and Inclusion Committee. As a person who moved into Vermont just a few years ago, I have faced countless challenges, including understanding the culture of this town, being a valuable part of the community, being inclusive to all, and building a life for myself and my family. Despite these obstacles, I have persevered and made a name for myself as a business owner and community member. As a member of the Equity and Inclusion Committee, I believe that my unique perspective and experience as an immigrant female business owner would be an invaluable asset. I have seen firsthand the challenges facing marginalized communities in our town, and I have a deep commitment to creating a more just and equitable society for all. Moreover, I strongly believe that my presence on the committee would send a powerful message to others in our town. It would show them that their voices matter, that they have a seat at the table, and that they are valued members of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Eleni Maxakuli. All right. Can I have a motion to appoint these two people to this board?
I move to appoint Eleni and Christina.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Eleni Maxakuli and Christina Shin. Is that right? To the Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. Is there further discussion on the board? Are there any comments online? Elena?
Yes, I think you will be very pleased that you are deciding to add these people to the Equity and Inclusion Committee. They have both been coming to meetings, and they add something that makes the committee even more diverse and will bring leadership. So I feel very happy and strongly that Eleni and Christina are a great addition to this committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there other discussion online? We have no public in the room. Any further discussion on the board? Karen?
I just have a question for Elena. Do you go to all the meetings, Elena?
More than not, I try to go to most of the meetings.
Are you interested in becoming a member?
I'm not interested in becoming a member because I have some writing projects that are my priority, and so I can't do work. I take part when I feel like it, but I do go to meetings and I check in with the folks.
Well, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Fair enough, and thank you for attending the select board meetings when you can as well. Right, is there further comments online? Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Lynn.
All right, so the next piece is select board unfinished business. We don't have anything under that. And then the next piece after that is other business or closing comments. Nate, we have an SB, with what we're calling an SB addenda, which is the big list on the back of this. These are things that we decided at the time were low-hanging fruit. Sometime I think it was in the fall, and so you'll see there's various things in various states of progress. This actually says that the townwide reappraisal is completed, but it is not. So it's just a list of priorities so that we don't forget about them.
So we have this, right, because Peg suggested it?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to keep them, you know,
I agree.
as far as possible, to keep them at least, you know, on our radar, because things do slip through the cracks. Are there closing comments on the board? Karen?
So just a reminder, once you get settled in, not too far in the future here, you should consider scheduling a work session.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you the animal control ordinance is going to come back on the table.
Yeah.
The appointment policy procedure needs to be ironed out quickly. The blight policy, which is in draft with your comments.
I don't have the draft.
No, you don't have the draft, I have the draft. But
Okay.
your comments are being added to the draft from like December. So that'll be ready for discussion again.
Yeah.
And then personnel policy, I need to get that, like, I want to get that to the board soon.
Yeah.
And that's been like a 3-year project and that it needs to get off my radar. Tobacco and smoking policy is a revisit. So I don't want to, you need to figure out how you want to do these work sessions and how much
Let's put
work.
on the agenda next week to schedule a work session in the near future. Not next week, the next meeting.
So the other critical piece too is select board. So policies and ordinances. So policies are basically select board policies, right? So they're passed by the select board. They don't have to be vetted by the public. Ordinances do. You have to have public hearings for ordinances. So they're more technical and legal. They're supposed to be reviewed every year. As you know, social agency policy is what, 1999, I think it was. So I think we really need to make it a point to like try to get through them.
Yep. I think it's going to take more than one session, but let's start with one and we'll work our way through.
Yeah, I have, there's like 50 policies
Yeah.
and ordinances.
Well, let's just
so-
work on the ones that are on the back of here, so we
Right,
get rid of
so-
those and put new
Yeah,
ones on
so
here.
I think we need to set some goals.
Okay,
And with everything else that's gonna come through here
yeah,
this coming year,
yeah,
we need to figure out how to get it done.
yeah, I agree. And that reminds me, I mentioned this, I think, last year, but I think we need to have a way of tracking our time so that if you aren't going, not that you can't take a Wednesday off, but if you are going to take it off, that somehow, at least I'm aware of it. It would be better if we are all aware of it, because there are many times when we really do want to have the full board to discuss and vote on certain things. Like, it would have been really better for the entire board to be here for a reorg. So I don't know how we want to do that. And I was thinking maybe if we just do it the old-fashioned way with another calendar here, and everybody just circles the days that they may not be available, if you know them. Maybe that's the way to start. But it does come up where people just, you know, they're not around for a regular select board meeting. So it's just something that I wanted to mention.
I think it's courtesy.
Yeah.
It's a commitment we made, so.
What's that?
It's a commitment we made.
It
you know,
is,
so.
yeah. And I understand things happen with me too. But as much as possible, if we can at least try to make it so that this Wednesday, every other Wednesday is free, but also just try to plan ahead so that we know when we can schedule important discussions. Are there other discussions? Closing comments on the select board? Is there any closing comments online?
Jeff,
Are you eating?
sorry.
It's okay.
I just wanted to thank Karen for making the statement for International Women's Day, and to recognize that the Equity and Inclusion Committee is really trying to move towards making sure that we're really consistent on clarifying which commemorative months and days and weeks that we're going to be celebrating, and we have a statement that is going to be approved and voted on coming for Women's History Month, and we'll have that ready for you next select board meeting.
Okay.
I also wanted to ask a question. Last year we had someone step down and we all had to resubmit letters. Tress Zurovino is stepping down from the committee. How do we go forward with making sure the people that do want to continue are continuing? Does Tress have to submit a letter officially stepping down?
It would be good if she made it official in some way, just emailing Karen or not myself. Hopefully before next select board meeting, because that would be the meeting that we would reappoint everybody. Your positions are yearly appointments, so we would reappoint you as a slate. I don't remember making everybody, well, I think that few years ago you had to resubmit new letters because we laid the committee down.
It was last year. I think it was just a confusion. It was because
I don't think there's an intention to have everybody resubmit letters every year. It's usually we just approve everybody as a slate.
I'll have Tress write a letter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments online? Any other discussion among the board? All right, Karen, do we need an executive session?
No.
Okay, good. Does anybody else need an executive session? All right. So our next meeting date is March 22, 2023 at 5:30 at the town hall and on Zoom. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone.